Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check out the link above to my Patreon page. I'll also put the link down below in the description. I'm here with a replay of a Modern League. Just going to quickly show you the deck again. This is the same list that I just did the paper deck tech of. I believe I uploaded it yesterday or the day before. Got 3 of these Seize claims in the deck. And those are supposed to synergize really well with Thassa, since the Seize claims and Spreading Seas are pretty difficult for opponents to remove. It can make it much easier to turn Thassa into a creature and keep her on as a creature. Of course, beyond that, I'm running 19 lands because the curves sort of tops out at 3 with Reejerey and Thassa, Kira after we sideboard. And yeah, everything else is the same as the most recent deck tech. So just wanted to check in with that. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into round 1. All right, here with game 1 of round 1. Looks like the opponent won the die roll. And this is a very nice opening hand. One of those Aether Vials. It would be much better if it was another creature or another spell like Spreading Seas, but definitely a keep. Looks like the opponent mulliganed to 5 in game 1. And Urza's Mind, so our 7 Seas are hopefully going to do some work. And we drew into another of the 7 Seas, so a great start for us. Island Aether Vial. Okay, opponent is going to have turn 3 Tron. They're going to go ahead and fetch up that tower, I'm sure. All right, so for my turn, with them just 1 Tron land away from having 7 mana, it's definitely time to get one of these Seas down. Another land is actually pretty good. It gets us to the point where we'll be able to actually pay for Force of Negation's mana cost. With 2 mana here, we're going to go ahead and just play Spreading Seas. And drew into some more gas, so hand is developing really, really nicely. Okay, opponent plays that tower. We can go ahead and hide that. Still not sure what type of Tron we're playing against here. Could be Eldrazi, could be mono green. Opponent thought about doing something. Maybe they were testing their Tron lands to see if they actually make Tron mana or not with that Spreading Seas in play. So I'm going to bluff Aether Vial since the opponent was bluffing with their taps. Maybe they would respond with something. So Aether Vial is going to go up to 2. And again, they're just 1 Tron land away from having their sort of mega mana online. So definitely want to get down this other Sea here. So the Sea's claim on the tower. And then with the 2 remaining mana, I'll go ahead and play Benthic Biomancer. These 2 creatures can both come into play through the Aether Vial. No need to get one of them onto the battlefield with mana yet. Our opponent starts tapping again. They play a Relic. So I don't know that mono green plays Relics. They have another Mine, which is great because it means now they're still 2 turns away from getting Tron established. This is a pretty poor play. They should have, if they were going to cycle Relic, they should have cycled Relic before they played a land for the turn. Because Relic obviously draws a card. They could have hit either a Power Plant or an Urza's Tower. Would have been much better than just playing out a second Mine. All right, and opponent passes. End of turn, we're going to, well, looks like they're thinking about it some more. Not so sure what they could do with that 2 generic mana, though. So they do pass to the end step. In response to me activating Vial, they go for Warping Whale, who's going to exile a target creature with power toughness 1 or less. So pretty well timed by the opponent because Benthic Biomancer was going to become a 2/2 pretty quickly. So Warping Whale doing some work, but really just dealing with my 1-drop. Still going to put the Master into play, with not knowing if it's Eldrazi or what. Better just to keep the Trickster in hand for the time being. Another Force, interesting. So going to get in with the Lord here, pass to the opponent. Okay, so this is Zhalfirin Void. It makes colorless mana, comes in untapped, and they get to scry 1. So I'm pretty sure it's just like Eldrazi Aggro that plays Zhalfirin Void. But then Eldrazi Aggro doesn't usually play Tron land, so it's kind of a mashup, I think, of different types of Tron. So they're tapping some lands here. And what are they actually casting? Alright, so they're trying to cast Chalice on 2. We've got an AEther Vial on 2, and we've already got Spreading Seas down. I do have redundant Forces of Negation. But I'm just really not afraid of this Chalice, so I chose to let it resolve. Okay, on end step, we can Vial in Trickster, untap. Chose not to cycle the Waterlogged Grove because it's keeping us at 3 mana where we can cast Force of Negation. Another Lord is perfect. We can just Vial that in, swing for 7. The opponent will go to 11. Pretty close to a 1-turn clock. But the opponent just scooped because I guess they couldn't really do anything. They did mulligan to 5. But we did have our Seas online to shut down their Tron. Not sure what kind of haymakers they might be holding in hand, but Tron matchups, regardless of whether it's as long as they have the Tron lands, it doesn't matter if they're on Eldrazi or just like Karns and Wormcoil engines. The Spreading Seas are going to do excellent work. So pretty straightforward stuff. Game 1. Let's go ahead and see how Game 2 went. All right, back for Game 2. Let's take a quick look at the sideboard. So again, still not totally sure what I'm playing against. So I thought it was Eldrazi Aggro, and with that being the case, they can bring in some Ratchet Bombs, maybe an All Is Dust. I'm not even sure what kind of stuff they bring in. I know they play Ratchet Bomb, but I thought it was pretty creature-based, so I took out all 4 forces. I'm not sure if that was actually the way to go, but took those out and then trimmed a couple Benthic Biomancers, a couple Merrow Reejereys, a little off the top, a little off the bottom of the curve. So that looks like it's 8 cards out. And then I think I'm going to bring in 3 Dismembers, 2 Echoing Truths, and 3 Phyrexian Revokers. The Revoker is pretty good because, as I mentioned, I expect this deck to have those Ratchet Bombs. They could also have some Planeswalkers, in particular Karn the Great Creator. That guy is played in every colorless deck, I think, whether it's Eldrazi Aggro or Mono Green Tron. Even some colored decks like Ponza are running it. Obviously, it's a very, very popular card, so Revoker, great out of the sideboard. No land, though we do have that Revoker and a Seas. Unfortunate. If this Vial was an island, this would be a snap keep. But we had to mulligan, and this is a keep based on the fact that it has Mutavault, Spreading Seas for disruption, and Thassa is going to help us scry into good stuff, hopefully. So opponent mulligan to 6. I kept this, and I shipped one of the non-Mutavault lands. All right, opponent opens with Zhalfirin Void. Trickster's a decent start. At least it's a creature. We don't want any more lands at this point. Okay, opponent finds a tower. And the Lord is a good draw because that's a pretty straightforward turn 2 play. Go ahead, get the Lord on the table. We don't need to play a Spreading Seas yet because they're still 2 turns away from potentially getting Tron online. So we want to establish a board while the opponent is still a whiles away from establishing Tron. So on my end step, they played Warping Whale to create a Scion here. So even though they don't have Tron online, they're going to have access potentially to 4 mana. And there's that second Tron land. 4 mana. I thought it was going to be like a Thought-Knot Seer, but ended up being Karn the Great Creator. So that guy's going to come down with 5 loyalty. And the opponent just ticked him up. Very interesting choice. They ticked him down. He'd still have 3 loyalty. I've only got 2 power on the board currently. And the guy could get any artifact from outside the game or an exile. So his sideboard or an exile. So maybe like a Walking Ballista or an Ensnaring Bridge. Seem like pretty good options, but instead the opponent just chooses to tick Karn up. Obviously, Karn has a static ability that turns off my artifacts. His artifacts get to continue getting activated. So here, since again they're now just 1 turn away from establishing Tron, I need to get the Spreading Seas down. They're sort of a real set strategy against Tron. If they're one land away from having infinite mana, you want to start disrupting their land, even if you could get pretty aggro this turn. For example, like I would have preferred to use my 3 mana to get Thassa down and start scrying, but we need to keep the opponent from just sort of exploding and starting to play gigantic things. I'm going to go ahead and get at Karn. Not quite sure what the opponent is trying to do with this guy yet, but again, ticking up on their turn. All right, so we saw them play the Warping Whale for mana, trying to ramp out this Karn. And let's see, they're not playing a land yet on turn 4. It's one of those replays where I'm having to click too many times. Not quite sure why that happens sometimes. But the opponent did miss their land drop. All they did that turn was pointlessly tick Karn up. So we drew an Aether Vial, which is unfortunately going to be shut off by Karn. So we got a lot of choices. I think the land here is definitely going to be the Mutavault, since we like to attack with as many things as possible. And I guess we just jam the Lord, activate Mutavault, and let's see. Opponent is dismembering. I believe I pointed both of them at Karn to try to just get the guy off the table. They haven't fetched any artifacts yet. They're just ticking him up. But again, sort of basic strategy rules. If there's a Planeswalker on the table, you typically want to get it off the board as quickly as possible. So I attacked Karn with both my creatures. The opponent dismembered a Mutavault, so they took 4 to do that. And it looks like they're dismembering the Lord of Atlantis as well. So sort of brutal, but the opponent's down to 12. They've only got 3 cards in hand. And here's an Ensnaring Bridge. They currently have 2 cards in hand, so I can at least attack with the Master. And they just tick up Karn to turn the Ensnaring Bridge into a 3/3. Means that I can't get in with the Lord right now because he doesn't have Island Walk. Phyrexian Revoker seems kind of cool here. I guess I can turn off Karn, even though, again, I'm not really sure what he's doing here. All right, so Ensnaring Bridge reverts back to just being a regular artifact. Another Warping Whale. Opponent drew a pretty heavy removal this game. I guess that's what made them want to keep the hand. So they are going to exile my Revoker. Let's see what they do with Karn. Oh, they take up again, making the Ensnaring Bridge into a 3/3. We can flash in our Trickster on the end step. Keep developing our board, allow the Lord to attack in. And since this guy is just ticking up, I think the plan is just attack the opponent now. Not really sure that this Karn can really do anything. Another Lord would be really nice if Ensnaring Bridge was not on the battlefield. Actually, this is wild. I didn't think about this during the during the match, but if I had more mana, imagine I could flash Trickster in and turn off all of Ensnaring Bridge's abilities if the opponent turned it into a creature. So it would turn off Ensnaring Bridge's, I'm pretty sure it would get rid of that text so that my creatures would be able to attack. So if I flash in a Trickster on my turn, if Ensnaring Bridge is a creature, loses its text, play another Lord, and attack for lethal potentially, whereas a bridge would otherwise stop me, Trickster turning off Ensnaring Bridge is something that I definitely have not come across yet. So I can't attack with anything except for the Lord, so I'm going to go ahead and get at the opponent here. Thassa is going to be pretty sweet because if the opponent is stuck with cards in hand, even with an Ensnaring Bridge as a blocker, I can just activate Thassa's last ability to continuously just make the Lord unblockable and continue applying pressure. So opponent does tick up on Ensnaring Bridge again. And yeah, it looks like they're getting a little jammed up since they only have 3 lands here, and they're not Tron lands, so they only have 3 mana, so they can only cast 1 spell per turn. It looks like they're thinking here that they want to stop my only attacker. Most people don't read Thassa all the way to the bottom of the card, so I just scryed into a Ben since that's another card that could attack. And get in with the Lord, make it unblockable with Thassa. Opponent's going to realize that making these Ensnaring Bridges into creatures, not necessarily the best approach. But I guess they're on this pretty one-minded plan with Karn. I don't know why they're not getting artifacts from their graveyard. I mean, not from their graveyard, from their sideboard. So Eternal Scourge, again, indicating that this is some kind of weird mix of Eldrazi Aggro and traditional Tron. Okay, Seize is pretty good. It's a redraw while also forcing them further and further away from Tron. All right, so I think I did not attack optimally here. Ben has Island Walk. Master can get in unblockable, again with Thassa's activated ability. So I should have just done that. Paid for the Master. Ben is already unblockable. Hit for 4, and then just swing for 4 and kill the opponent next turn. But what I did, I was kind of focused on Ben's Adapt ability. I guess I was trying to dig for Echoing Truth to bounce these Ensnaring Bridges. So adapting helps us get 1 card deeper into the library. Unfortunately, it also makes Ben into a 3/3, which means that next turn, if the opponent still has 2 cards in hand, I won't be able to attack with 2 creatures. So I think slightly misplaying here. But even with Ben as a 3/3, I can continue getting in with the Lord here. All right, so looted away that extra AEther Vial since Karn just shuts down any of my artifacts. Opponent goes down to 5. I'll play my island. All right, they play a Trinisphere, which is sort of fine. Neither of us are playing more than 1 spell per turn anyway. They tick up Karn again. Karn doesn't even have an ultimate, so this whole constant ticking up thing is just a little bit strange. All right, Thassa scries a Trickster, and that thing's not really doing anything. I guess I could make the Eternal Scourge go away, but I'm only attacking with 1 creature anyway. All right, so I'm going to pay 3 because of Trinisphere to cast Silvergill Adept. Again, just digging for Echoing Truths. This game is sort of rushing to a conclusion anyway. The opponent has blanked on their land drops for the last few turns. Spreading Seas is a decent draw, but definitely going to just swing in with the Master here. Pay 2 to make it unblockable. Opponent's still stuck with cards in hand, and they just scooped there. So obviously the opponent getting a little bit mana screwed. Not really sure what the plan is here with Karn. I guess having only 3 mana, getting a Walking Ballista is sort of pointless. I guess they could have probably grabbed something like a Pithing Needle or a Sorcerer's Spyglass to turn off Thassa. Seems like that would have been a good play. But again, opponent didn't really seem to have much of a plan with Karn here. Double Ensnaring Bridge, revealing that potential interaction with Trickster. If this thing is turned into a creature, I'm pretty sure that Trickster would turn its text off. So that's a really sweet interaction that I had never thought of before. So we got round 1 against some mix of Eldrazi, Tron, and Eldrazi Aggro. 2-0, Thassa doing work, the Seas doing work. Deck feeling pretty good at the start of this league. Please leave your comments down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please take a moment and check out my Patreon page if you'd like to support the channel. Tune into the next video where I'll be back with round 2 of this Modern League. I think I'm going to go back to doing individual videos in a playlist. Not many people responded to the last league, which I did in 1 long video, and one person did and said they preferred individual videos, and it doesn't seem like it makes much of a difference, so I think I'm just going to stick with what I know. And yeah, just do individual videos. So tune in. I'll be back with round 2. I'll see you there. Bye.